Beijing.
Let's bring you some more reaction and speak to the MP, Tom Tugendhat, who joins us now from Westminster. He's the chair of the House of Commons Foreign Affairs Committee and a member of the governing Conservative Party. His China Research Group is also investigating what it says is China's growing global role. Tom, thanks for joining us. Do you believe this new law is in breach of the joint declaration between China and Britain?
Yes, it quite clearly is, because it undermines the basic law, which is integral to the Sino-British Joint Declaration. And in undermining the basic law, it really reverses Chinese policy of the last 20 or so years of one country, two systems, and goes to one country, one system.
So Boris Johnson urging China to respect Hong Kong's freedoms and its high degree of autonomy, we've just heard in the past half an hour, doesn't feel like enough then?
Well, I've always been clear that I think that countries that are dependent on international free trade, on the rule of law, should be clear in calling out when others are violating it. And I'm afraid, sadly, this is what the Chinese Communist Party and its puppet parliament are doing today.
But calling out is one thing. What should Britain be doing? We've already heard from President Trump saying the trade relationship could be adjusted. Is that something that Britain should be looking at too?
Well, I call on the UK government to give residency rights to British nationals overseas. I think we should look very hard at legal cooperation between our systems because, as you know very well, civil rights and commercial rights are intimately linked and you can't really divorce the two. And so to have British judges looking like they're whitewashing a tyrannical system of justice would really be very damaging, not just to the people of Hong Kong, who would be worst harmed by it, but it would also be damaging to the reputation of the UK and to British law.
If this goes through, and as you said, goes against the joint declaration, would it call into question other agreements that China has made with Britain, do you think?
Well, it certainly would cause many countries to question agreements that they have with China on anything from debt traps to the law of the sea. We've seen over recent years that in areas like UNCLOS, where the Chinese government, the Beijing government, is choosing which bits of the law to apply, what it's doing is effectively undermining the international rules-based system that has allowed the Chinese people to prosper largely in peace and security for the best part of 20, 30 years. So very sadly, General Secretary Xi and his communist tyrannical partners are putting at risk the prosperity of the Chinese people.
Tom, the Chinese leadership are saying this is not going to affect autonomy. We have to be clear on that. Carrie Lam has just been speaking.
They're lying.
OK, and what is your concern for the people of Hong Kong, that this will be a tool that will be used to silence political dissent?
Yeah, of course it will. The Ministry of State Security is not going to open up offices in Hong Kong in order to sell burgers and sandwiches. It's going to be opening up offices in order to conduct the kind of repression that we're used to seeing in Beijing, and we are seeing in Xinjiang, where over 1 million Muslims are in prison, and we are seeing in other parts of China where churches are bulldozed and Falun Gong practitioners are being arrested. This is simply an extension of tyrannical power to a part of China, to a territory within China that had formerly been under democratic control and the rule of law.
And how much do you think the COVID-19 pandemic is also able to act as a smokescreen for other things that could possibly be going on?
Well, it's clear that the Chinese Communist Party is using the COVID pandemic as a smokescreen, but I suspect it's also using the pandemic, or rather being forced into actions because of the pandemic, because its own internal reputation has been very severely damaged. And we know that many people in Wuhan, in Hubei province, have been, many more have been killed than are claimed. And we know that many people in China are already talking about issues arising from the deaths of many of their compatriots and fellow citizens that is undermining the trust they have in the Chinese Communist Party. So no doubt this exercise of power, this demonstration of force, is really actually proof of weakness and internal fear.
Tom Tugendhat, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.